Good afternoon, or good morning, good evening. It's Roger Gilbert here from International Aquafeed magazine, and I'm in Madeira. I'm at the European Union Society's 2021 event, which is a conference come exhibition, and I'm in the expo hall with the organizer who's joined us on our stand, on International Aquafeed stand, and I'm talking to Alistair Lane. And Alistair Lane is the Chief Executive or Executive Director of the EAS. And I'm going to ask him some very blunt questions. Alistair, how's it gone this week given the pandemic?
Well, thank you, Roger, and nice to see you, and nice to see you back here. I think the biggest thing that's happened this week is people are seeing each other again. We've been through lockdowns, we've been through cancelled events, we've been through postponed events, and the what I immediately noticed was as soon as we had the green light to go through from the regional health authorities to organise the event, the attendance, the desired attendance, the registration started flowing in. We received a lot of abstracts for the scientific part of the conference. We had exhibitors waiting until they could have authority to travel to see how many people from the company could come. Um, and the amount of last minute bookings on flights must have been quite crazy because we are 1,280 people here in Madeira meeting together for the first time in 2 years.
Alistair, I must say the organisation worked superbly. We were one of the late bookers, but we were very pleased with the way the COVID access was implemented at the airport, both leaving the UK, our home country, and arriving here. And also, I'm very pleased to report that the medical authority here in Madeira have done a fantastic job in testing us. So even though we don't have face masks on, we've been tested multiple times in order to be at this meeting. Uh, Also, I'd like to ask you a little bit about, you mentioned the posters, and I see you have a different way of presenting posters here compared to the standard. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, basically, we've just gone electronic. We had a lot of space taken up in congress halls through poster boards, and people bringing tubes on the plane with them to come with their posters wrapped up there and printed out. So back in Berlin in 2019, we started to test electronic posters, and we have more than 460 of them at this event now, and people are able to access them from their phone online, and also we've put up screens across the building so people can go through and look at the posters in that way and spend actually more time and selecting the posters that they want to look at.
I notice they're in different locations and I see them being used all the time, which is really even more pleasing, I think. But, you know, this event was postponed, maybe postponed twice, but we actually have held it now. But what does this augur for the future? If we can get back to attending events, isn't there going to be a clash next year with too many events coming around all at once?
Indeed, there were so many events cancelled in 2020, others that should have taken place in the first half of 21. Um, we actually were reliant on having the approval of the regional health authorities here to give us a green light to go ahead. And without that, we could not have held the meeting. But what I can see clearly is the amount of the calendar for 2022 is filling very quickly. And what I've also seen as well, although the attendance here is almost to our maximum capacity with regard to the health and sanitary precautions and restrictions that we have, um, what is clear is when I go through the attendance list, the number of countries represented here is much lower than it was in previous years. So we're missing the people from Asia, we're missing the people from South America. So it's basically a European event. Um, for next year, people are going to have to make choices, and I think we've all been pushed into a conscious uh, state of asking ourselves, do I need to travel to go there? We've learned, despite ourselves, we've learned how to meet online. We know the limitations of that, and we also know the usefulness of that. And so meetings where you would spend 2.5 days for 6 hours of contact time, you will hesitate to do that now online. We've been organizing board meetings of the EES online, and they've been very efficient with just one or two agenda items for a 1 hour meeting. But when it comes to a meeting like this, because Aquaculture Europe is a helicopter view of what's happening throughout Europe and throughout European aquaculture and how that resonates with the rest of the aquaculture sector worldwide, we strongly believe that this is a meeting that can't be done uh, online, although we did do it in April of this year, and it was successful. We had 900 people join us online for 3 days. You can't replace what happens outside of the sessions. You can't replace what happens in between stands, in the coffee breaks, in the happy hours, the receptions. That's where the networking happens. So where you have a dedicated conference of scientific presentations under one topic area, that kind of thing can follow a hybrid model. We decided that for us, we didn't want to go that way, and that we wanted to keep our face-to-face meetings, but at the same time, we have to de-risk those even more than we have been doing in the last years.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean that begs the question, and you alluded to it, and I know it's a tricky one, about how do we select which events to go to, which justifies us getting on to the airport and on the plane, etc. To those that we say, oh, my colleagues in that particular country in Italy can attend on my behalf. I mean, it will impact business, of course, but is that some type of decision that people are going to have to make in the future?
I think we all have to make choices, and where you have limitations on companies trying to recover losses of revenue in the last couple of years, their marketing budgets are going to be driven by two different directions completely. The first is to get back the business we lost and make new business. And so there's a driver upwards, and then there's a driver downwards that says, okay, we have to recover some of our balance sheet. So we have to reduce some of our spending limits. And oftentimes you find that marketing is one of the areas that's generally cut. And therefore, you will have to choose. If you had the chance to attend 5 meetings per year, and this applies as well to researchers, to scientific institutions, to all of the stakeholders. If you had the choice to do, you had the possibility to do 5. The choice is now larger. So which 5 do I do? If that's been cut to 3 now, which 3 do I do? And we hope that Aquaculture Europe is one of those 3, and we see that of the people that are coming here, a lot are coming back year on year on year on year. So there is a kind of loyalty that we've managed to establish. And the problem, I think, in the next couple of years is for new entrants into the meetings and events business, and they will have to be careful and consider very carefully the model that they want to use.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure I'm similar to a lot of small businesses when I say that for us to attend, it's a very big part of our budget each year. And with next year looming now, with multiple events that we have to select from, you're absolutely right. We can't do them all. I mean, it's just physically not possible. But in the way we have to have that hybrid approach of which ones can we attend online and which ones can we go to ourselves or have our representatives attend. So I think the hybrid, do you see hybrid becoming more of an offer from events like yours that allow people to still attend but not attend?
I think I alluded to this a little bit before in terms that if you want to listen to outputs of scientific research, that can follow a hybrid model. I think that what we have shown, and I think I've seen this in other online events in the last 18 months, is when you try to do a virtual trade show, it doesn't really happen. It doesn't really work in the way that it does work and has worked traditionally face to face. When I was in the feeds industry some years ago, a lot of years ago now, the question was always, it's going to cost me this much to go to that trade show. What's my return on that expenditure? When will that return come? And therefore, is it worth doing it? And that was the kind of simplest thing. Uh, it only takes one contact to make the thing worthwhile, um, and and that's the kind of golden rule. But that kind of contact has, in my opinion, much more chance of happening when you're in a physical event than when you're doing it online. So it can work for some kinds of events and meetings. I think with our particular event where we have so many side events happening and so much interaction outside of the actual events that are on the program, I think that's when it can happen, and that's this kind of meeting will need to stay as an in-person meeting.
Very pleased with this one from a participant's point of view. I think that there's been a great opportunity to engage with people, and as you say, those out of conference room, out of exhibition area interactions are absolutely invaluable. So it's not like there's a shortcoming to come to one of these events. I think that it's very profitable to come. But next year, what does the EAS offer us? What's on the program? What do we have to choose from?
We are having Aquaculture Europe 2022 in Rimini in Italy. We've started the planning for that. We have a steering committee and a local organizing committee. The steering committee led by Alessandro Lovatelli from FAO. The Italian ministry at the level of the responsibility for sea and marine and maritime activities, and also the environmental transition ministry have also underlined their importance and their support for the meeting in Italy next year. There were many things when we did the online event in April this year, and even this event here in Madeira, that we couldn't include on the program, like the Innovation Forum, the Farmers' Day, the Industry Forum as we call it, this kind of thing, because we knew that we weren't going to be able to get producers directly into the event, especially being on an island in the middle of the Atlantic. But we're in our bubble here, and that's given extra dimension to the safety of the event, as you talked about with testing earlier. But I think there in Rimini, hopefully we'll have the chance to bring back into the program some of the activities that really increase the interface between science and industry, because that is what EES is all about, and that is what we're trying to bring back to happening in Rimini in Italy next September.
And that's the end of September next year. Well, thank you, Alistair. Thank you very much for putting on once again a fabulous event. And as you say, in the middle of the Atlantic, it's a wonderful spot, and we've all enjoyed being here. But congratulations on a first-class event. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.